Hey guys, I'm HOJ, and in today's video, we're going to be doing another best of one standard event with my Boros Ascension deck today. All of the links are going to be in the description, the playlist, the deck list, all the win rate statistics. And if you like this kind of content and you want to see more, consider subscribing and or becoming a member of my channel for 99 cents a month to get early access to all of my new videos and help support the channel. I just want to give a big thank you to all of my viewers and all of my members. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. All right, let's jump into the deck. So this is a deck I've been working on for about the past 2 months or so. It's kind of a pet project. I really enjoy playing it, and I wanted to get sort of a version of it which was very low to the ground. And so I was kind of experimenting with land counts. And if you're not familiar with the deck, the kind of whole game plan is to get out Firebender Ascension, which is an enchantment which gives you a 2/2 red soldier creature token with Firebending 1. And then whenever you attack with a creature that you control with a triggered ability of that creature, where it triggers, you put a quest counter on this enchantment. And then once you have 4 more quest counters, you can start copying those abilities. So this can be really powerful if you have cards that have like Mobilize, for example, like Stadium Headliner or Voice of Victory. It can also be great to create extra creatures with cards like Descendant of Storms, which has Endure, which triggers when it attacks, and then also Kavaran Harrier, which can make a 2/2 attacking robot token if you pay 2 when it attacks. It can also give you extra triggers on a Hired Claw to do damage pinging your opponent. And then it also can help with Arabella to drain them for more damage. And then, so that's kind of the main plan of the deck. I do have some top end cards here. We have 1 copy of Delney, Streetwise Lookout. This doubles all of the triggers. So basically you can, if you have a fully set up Firebender Ascension with the Delney, you can get 4 times the triggers, which gets totally crazy and bananas, and it's lots of fun. And then you have Suki, who's really good with Mobilize, because whenever you have a creature or a permanent that leaves your control during your turn, you create a 1/1 white ally creature token once per turn. It also gives +1/+0 to all of your creatures, so it's kind of a nice top end ability. Then you have kind of our cards that deal with opposing threats. We have a full playset of Sheltered by Ghosts, because the mana is very, very damaging in our life total. We are basically causing a lot of pain just to get really good access to mana. And then we also have 2 copies of Rest in Peace. This is really good against Reanimator decks. It's great against the Izzet Lessons deck. Just all around very useful because we don't need our graveyard, and so it's an easy kind of card for us to put in the deck. In addition, we have 2 copies of Requisition Raid. This helps all of our creatures kind of break out of annoying cards like Pinnacle Starcage, which pretty much hoses this deck. It's also great against Izzet Lessons because you can target a artifact and an enchantment at the same time, and you can also buff your team. So sort of a nice little blanket effect. And then we also have 4 copies of Neighborhood Guardian, which doesn't trigger the Firebender Ascension, but it does trigger to give +1/+1 to any creature that you control whenever a creature with power 2 or less enters. And so it works really well with Mobilize, where you're bringing all these creatures into play, and it can really be a nice way to push through damage and get past blockers. And then in addition, we have 4 copies of Frontline Rush, which is really good in this deck because you can either make 2/1/1 red goblin creature tokens at instant speed, or you can give target creature +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control, which can be quite large. So that is the deck. For the land count, I've gone down as low as 17 land, and with this low of a land count, you want to kind of aggressively mulligan to make sure you have 2 land in your starting hand. So you might have to mulligan down to 6, but this is kind of a nice way to prevent sort of flood, which is a big way that you lose in this deck. So yeah, that's the deck. Let's go ahead and jump into the event. All right, first round, here we go. If you want to do like a higher mana cost version of this deck, you could also run cards like Sanguine Evangelist, which is great at the top end, but I'm just opting for kind of a lower to the ground version. So here's an example. We have one land, which does happen. I'm going to go ahead and mulligan. I want to make sure that I have 2 land in my opener, like this. And now we can put something back. Suki is great, but I think this is probably the card I'm going to put back just because the chance of getting to our 3rd land is not guaranteed. And this way we can go like 1-drop into 2 more 1-drops and then Firebender Ascension after that. So I think I'm going to put Suki back, even though it is a great card. And this way we have a decent plan here. Looks like we're up against potentially Simic Aggro, maybe Simic Omniscience, not really sure. Let's lead out here with Hired Claw. It's one of kind of the best cards you can start with, just because it has the threat of becoming like a 2/3. All right, it is Simic Aggro. It's a nice pickup, so now we can add another Hired Claw and probably like a Harrier. This way we can do like Firebender Ascension next turn and get 3 triggers, or we can just keep playing 1/1s, or 1-drop creatures. And then turn on our Firebender Ascension the following turn, all in 1 turn. Drunith is a really nice start to this deck. They already have a huge board. So it's possible we just get overpowered here, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Yeah, now we can try to... We might want to Sheltered by Ghosts on the Drunith because, yeah, if it gets... This potentially can copy an Ouroboros if they have that. Simic Aggro typically doesn't run Craterhoof, so it is a possible danger here with the Drunith. Otherwise, we could kind of play out some more guys and set up for a Firebender Ascension. We don't really have great attacks here. We could attack with both Hired Claws and Threaten, but again, with their Drunith, it's kind of a problem. So I think we just play defense here and we take out the Drunith just so they don't get a copied Ouroboros. And again, don't really have great attacks this turn. Yeah, Abzan is pretty good. Haven't seen Silent Hall Creeper very much. But it can be a copy, I guess it can copy the Ouroboros. All right, well, they're playing on the top of their deck, but they do have a way to draw a bunch of cards next turn. Abzan can be used, yeah, to draw 2 cards if it has an odd number of counters on it, so they'll get 2 extra cards next turn. Here we could go I think we just want to set up more, so maybe just do our 2 1-drops and then try to potentially set up like a big attack potentially. Could also go for Firebender Ascension, threatening to just flip it in 1 turn, and then be able to do stuff like Frontline Rush. That's actually pretty good as well. Maybe I'll do that. But yeah, they got a very nice start with double Badgermole Cub. Whew, and there's an Ouroborid. Thankfully, it doesn't get to buff their team this turn. Okay, so now, I think we play out a Harrier here. We potentially can have 2 extra mana in combat. They have Sabsunin, although we're not going to have a great attack after this turn. We can use Frontline Rush to push something through, but they can just swing back for lethal next turn most likely. Yeah, we might just be done here. I think we try to just play to our outs and just maybe we pick up like Delney or something like that to swing through. Yeah, I think we just hold here. The nice thing is giving a counter here to the Sabsunin means it can't actually attack this turn. So there's that. Yeah, and unfortunately they still have a lot of 2-power creatures, so even if we were to draw Delney that have blockers, we're just in a whole bunch of trouble here. Gonna see the draw, but this is probably unwinnable. Yeah. I guess unless they misplay here. Yeah, and that's going to do it. Simic Aggro is one of the decks that just can really get under this deck a little bit if they have a really powerful draw. All right, 0 and 1. Opening hand looks good. We've got 2 mana. Happy to keep. All right, looks like we are up against potentially Reanimator. Let's lead out here with the Sacred Foundry. And I think on 2 we're probably going to play Voice of Victory. This could just be Golgari also. But it seems like, yeah, if you're a green deck, you pretty much always want to be playing Badgermole Cub. It's so good. All right, we'll offer to trade, and then I think we just play Voice of Victory. Oh, sure. Okay, this is the Exile deck. All right, now let's go for Neighborhood Guardian into Descendant. And here, let's go ahead and put it on Voice of Victory. We're going to get 2 more triggers. So I think we get in with both. Happy to trade with either one. And for max damage, we could just put a +1/+1 for each of these 2 tokens if we want. Otherwise, they can just block those easily. If we want to save one of our creatures, like we could put an extra pump here on Voice of Victory. But again, if they double block it, I'm actually kind of happy with trading. So yeah, I think we just push max damage here. Do they have any creatures to go get? Yeah, I guess they can buff up their Scavenging Oozes. This is kind of nice though, because now we can play Delney and have all of our guys just attack right past them. So we'll also double the triggers, so we have to be a little careful where the triggers, where the pump goes. All right, let's play Delney. So we're going to do 1 pump on Voice and then another pump on Delney, just to make sure everything can attack past. And now we can use all the triggers to help pump these new tokens so that everything is unblockable. Oh, let's see, did we already? Okay, so we'll have to do 1 extra trigger here on, or some extra ones on Delney. Now they can only block with the Badgermole Cub. This way we get them down to 1, so we don't kill them, but get them pretty low. They can use Ooze to gain a couple life here, but they're not going to be able to block with Ooze unless they kill Delney. And that should do it. All right, 1-1. Yeah, Delney can just be fantastic against those kind of creature stalls, especially like with mono green or Simic or any kind of green where they pump up with Ouroboros, where you have kind of that one turn to get in. All right, we've got 3 land. We have stuff to do. No 1-drop, but we might draw into one. We do have 16 1-drops on our deck, so there's a decent chance. I guess here let's play the Multiversal Passage, probably for white. Steel Web Surveyor. Okay, is this like spiders? They've got blue. Let's get Voice of Victory going, just so they can't counter anything. I don't really know what this deck runs. Nice thing is that now that we have Voice, we know they can't play any spells, so there's no tricks, which is great. Let's go for Ascension. Partially because we know that they won't be able to do anything here except just block with the 2/1. If we had to push through blockers, we could play like Neighborhood Guardian. Okay, and they're just gonna scoop. We'll run it back. 2-1. Yeah, I think sometimes people don't realize that you can't play spells on the opponent's turn with Voice of Victory out. It's a nice little effect that can catch people by surprise. All right, opening hand looks great. We've got 3 mana. Again, no 1-drop, but we have like a 1 in 4 chance of drawing one, maybe a little better. All right, we'll lead out with Sacred Foundry. Possibly, okay, I was gonna say Simic Aggro, but this looks, maybe it's Simic Aggro, I don't really know. Let's get Voice going. Some of them run like 1 or 2 copies of like Repulsive Mutation. Okay, this is a different, I have no idea what we're up against. We can get Ascension going, but I think Delney is so good here. We just have to Delney. It's mana efficient and it just does everything we want. Can safely attack knowing there's no tricks. Depending on what they do, we can now like double Firebender Ascension next turn and actually flip both of them since we're going to have double the triggers. Thanks to Delney. Yeah, they probably bounce Voice here. All right, let's get Voice back up and going. And then Firebender Ascension. Not blocking here just in case they have some kind of pump, just so it's not worth losing anything. So we'll just take it. And now we can just go for another Ascension. And then I think we just go for Actually, no, we don't want to do Requisition Raid because then our guys are blockable. So could go for Sheltered by Ghost, but we don't really need it right now. So I think we just go for Hired Claw. There's a whole bunch of triggers. And as you can see, this gets out of hand really quickly. They can only block with one creature. Then we can use the extra mana to pump up our Hired Claw. Yeah, Delney plus flipped Firebender Ascension is pretty ridiculous. And we could do Suki here. I guess they have one blocker then, and that's totally fine. Delney isn't going to double anything if it's 2 or greater, or if it's greater than 2, so it'll still affect Voice of Victory, so I think it's worth it. These will be a little bigger. We won't get like all the triggers on Hired Claw, but we'll still get quite a few. So it's fun. Let's just try it. And then I guess we'll just Sheltered by Ghosts, get their 4/4 out of the way. And lots of triggers. All right, and that should do it. All right, 3 and 1. And on to the next. But yeah, Delney's a lot of fun with this deck. Okay, another 1-lander. Let's go ahead and mulligan. There's our 2 land. We'll throw 1 back. So question here, we could throw back maybe like a 1-drop if we wanted to, but I do kind of like going like 1-drop into 2 1-drops. And then it's just a matter of if we want to kind of get the Firebender Ascension going or have like Sheltered by Ghosts. This is kind of more of like a protective measure. This is kind of more like go big. I don't know, I guess just because what we're going to be up against, what's correct. I think, you know, we have 4 of these in the deck. There's a chance we draw into more. Same with Firebender Ascension. I think I'm just going to try to do kind of the Ascension since we are going first. So I'm going to throw back the Shelter by Ghosts. Could be wrong. It is a chance we're taking here, but... And then I'm going to lead out with Hired Claw, since it is the best one-drop we can play. Alright, looks like we're up against probably Jeskai control or possibly 4-color control. So let's just get our early drops in. I don't think they have too much that just board wipes on 3. I guess they have Split Up potentially, so that is a consideration. But I think we just want to kind of get stuff going. Try to capitalize. It's a nice pickup. If they do have removal on 3 for everything, it's going to suck, but I think this is worth going for. Let's kind of go big. So let's lead out with a Hired Claw. And then I'd rather have the Ascension land, so that's fine. Now, if they do have Split Up here, it's really nasty, or if they have Pinnacle Star Cage, it'd be the worst case scenario. But if we can dodge that for a turn or 2, we can be doing well. And if they just 1-for-1 us, we're in great shape. All right, let's not commit any more to the board at this point. They could have counters, and there's just no reason to. Here we're going to use our extra mana to make an attacking 2/2. Yeah, probably not going to do the Descendant because it's a little bit less mana or a little bit less efficient. It'll only do 1 extra damage, whereas the Harrier will do 2 extra damage, so we'll decline that one. Same deal here, we're just going to do another Harrier, so we'll decline the Descendant. And this is lethal if they don't have at least 2 pieces of removal. Or I guess 1 piece of removal will do. So now if they have board wipe, we're actually in kind of trouble here because we don't have any direct damage in this deck. So here we hope that they can't just kind of board wipe again. But yeah, they needed something like Aang for 2 pieces of removal essentially to get through that last turn. And now either one of these is lethal, so they need 2 pieces of removal again, or a board wipe. I guess another Aang would do it. If we play Voice, I guess they could Aang in response. If we just attack with these 2, we can use the mana to pump Descendant to make it a 3 power. So I guess if they have another Aang, that's kind of the worst case scenario. Then they can block and then bounce one of our guys. I guess we can also Voice just to like force it and find out. I think I'll try that because this kind of forces their hand right now. do have the Ang. Yeah, Ang is very effective at keeping them alive. And now I think we just play out our creatures again. They're definitely holding on here. Okay, Requisition Raid is nice. Problem is they can just like double block and like it, because then they can get rid of all of our creatures, which is unfortunate. So it doesn't really solve the problem. They might have stabilized here. What I'm hoping is that we can get a hit here. Yeah, unfortunately we didn't. So I think we just use this to pump up our team. We won't be able to push this turn, but we can set up for a push next turn. Although Elspeth is really good at stabilizing. Yeah, they needed Ang basically 2 turns in a row to stabilize. And again, we don't really have good attacks because they can just double and then block here. Although that would kind of get rid of their entire team, so maybe it's worth it. Problem is then we have like an empty board and they have Elspeth, which feels pretty bad. I think we pass. Or maybe we like send 1 and then we, you know, can like trade for 2 tokens, which is still okay. It's not amazing, but it's okay. Because they can definitely set up like a situation where they can pretty easily kill us with Elspeth. So I think maybe we just attack with 1 Descendant here. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I still want to have something to attack with, but we have to be a little bit careful of our own life total because they can start pumping in the air. Can do another Requisition Raid here. Although we do get just the effect doubled just by attacking. So I think maybe we just attack and then use the effect twice. Now we can create 2 tokens to like set up for Requisition Raid, or we could make this thing into a 5/4, which does make it a little harder to deal with. We can also do a mix. I think we want to try to get, let's see, so Ang can flip. So this can actually become a 5/5, so I guess we have to make it a 5/4. Yeah, I forgot about Ang flipping. Man, they really stabilized with Elspeth. That was rough.
Join the fight.
Yeah, and that might just do it. All right. Close, but not quite there. All right, 3 and 2. Opening hand looks good. We've got 1 drop, 2 drop, and 3 land to start. Bloodfell Caves. This could be like Iroh's, like the Mardu deck that has Iroh's Tea Master. Could go for Ascension here. If we think we might have to push past blockers, maybe go for Guardian. Draining is pretty nice also. I guess we could use the extra mana here, so I think maybe I'll just go for Ascension. Oh, they've got Ascension too. That's cool. Good Sheltered by Ghosts to get rid of their soldier token, but I don't think we need to do that yet. Let's play Guardian plus Harrier, I think. And we're happy to trade tokens. You can make this a 2/3. I guess this is like maybe full Mardu Ascension. It's kind of neat. Or maybe just Rakdos. Haven't seen this version of the deck. And we'll just let that through. I don't think we trade here. Now we can go for Arabella. And I think we pump the Guardian just to keep that one going. I suppose we could also just put it on Hired Claw, and then use the extra mana to create another creature, which will then pump the Guardian. It all kind of works. Now we can get in with another Harrier and pump the Hired Claw. All right, we got them down to 1. Let's see what they got. Okay, and that's going to do it. All right, 4 and 2. Opening hand looks good. Got 2 mana, some 1-drops, some removal. Not sure what we're up against here. I think against black, maybe we want to start with Descendant, just so we can start making extra creatures. Yeah, I mean, Harrier's also good, but this gives us kind of a way to create a bigger board if they don't kill this right away. And looks like they exiled our Frontline Rush. That is a good one. I guess let's put this as white. Just kind of keep the Sacred Foundry hidden, otherwise we'd play Sacred Foundry. Just so we're not sure what our last card is. And then I think, yeah, I think we just grow our team a little bit. It'll make our Requisition Raid better. And they probably realized we could get rid of their Candy Trail with our Requisition Raid, so that makes sense. Maybe they're just setting up for board wipe here. I think we probably just keep making more creatures. Normally I would like play Harrier here and then just create another 1/1, just try to like set up. But then we don't really have a board if they board wipe, so maybe we hold back the Harrier here and just keep kind of just developing with Descendant. I think we might want to hold this back. Although, I mean, we are pretty likely to draw the creature here, but just a little bit worried about a board wipe. Yeah, there it is. Glad we held it. I guess actually we didn't have to play that for 2 life. Just kind of have it there. We could have played that tapped. I guess we'll just play Harrier into Frontline Rush end of turn. So if you lose by 2 life, it's my fault. Okay, Simic, sure. Requisition Raid is pretty good against that, but that's fine. Okay, now we can Requisition Raid for 3. So we'll get rid of the enchantment and pump our team. This is kind of nice because it gives a +1/+1 counter to the creature that's stuck under the seam rip. Hopefully no more board wipes. Okay, Neighborhood Guardian is nice. I think we just Neighborhood Guardian into Requisition Raid. I suppose we could also just Sheltered by Ghosts the Ketramos, because they can use that to draw extra cards. But it is a little dangerous because they could get it back. Although I suppose if they get it back, it's not that big a deal. It sort of resets. I think Requisition Raid could be better later, so let's go for the Sheltered by Ghosts here. So just kind of prevent them from drawing extra cards, hopefully. Okay, so much for that. Ujin is real good. I don't know if we attack Ujin here or we go for their health. This is pretty hard to kill, so maybe we just go for face. We could Requisition Raid. I guess this is a decent turn for it. Because next turn we're going to be, potentially if we draw a creature then want to also attack with this, we might not have the mana to do everything, so I think we do it now. Alright, let's get their enchantment, because why not? And put counters. Yeah, Day of Judgment's pretty good here. We do have kind of some trouble when they go very powerful Planeswalker into board wipes. And now I think we might just get overpowered by Ujin.
Preparation yields success.
Curious how many copies of Ujin this deck runs, but it do have a lot of nice ways to stall with artifacts here, so I think at this point we're pretty much done.
I grant you a boon.
So yeah, that was a fun run. We ended up going let's see, how many, do we go 4 and 3? Yeah, 4 and 3. So there might have been some potential, like I think against the Azorius deck, I could have attacked with both of the 3/2s the turn before it kind of spiraled out of control, and that would have at least forced more blocks. So that might have been the correct play. Then we'd be dealing with an empty board against Elspeth, and so we'd probably still lose that game, but maybe not. Who knows? So it looks like we did, you know, getting close to breaking even here. Let's go ahead and open this here, and then let's take a look at the stats. All right, for best of 1 standard events, this deck is 68% win rate, 79% on the play, and 55% on the draw. So it is 17 wins and 8 losses in best of 1 standard events. So yeah, I do like kind of where it's at right now. I think that it could certainly be tweaked a little bit. It is possible you could make room for cards like Lightning Helix or Burst Lightning. But actually I think that the low land count is really kind of working, which is, for a long time I had it at like 23 land, and I feel like 17 is completely legitimate. So anyways, that's kind of where it's at right now. If you're looking at the ladder, on ladder, the win rate is closer to 54%, 69% on the play, 41% on the draw, 137 wins and 118 losses. So there have been a lot of different versions of the deck. I think this most recent version here, again, it's been pretty exciting having the low land count. But yeah, thanks again for watching. If you watched all the way to the end here, again, I really appreciate you. And if you like this kind of content, you want to see more, consider subscribing or becoming a member for 99 cents a month to get early access to all of my videos and help support the channel. And thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.